We got our first look at the 3-point takedown this past weekend at Flow Wrestling's Who's Number One event. We're going to talk about it and we're going to recap the event, talking about our predictions. How did we do? And we're going to go over it and talk about it all. Starting now, we got to get this off. First thing, all right, Bo Basset, Daniel Zapata. Let's just get this over with.
Rip the Band-Aid right
Yeah,
off.
that's it.
Because
we were talking about how Bo Basset could tech Daniel Zapata in this match.
yeah, we were talking about the potential for that with all of his accolades. And we were like, despite the weight gain and all that.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be Bo for the win.
I think so too. Bo's just too dynamic. He's got such a high motor. I think that he's just going to wear guys down and just attack them. Maybe not in this match, but just, I think he's just got a high motor. He just attack.
I mean, that'd be crazy if he got a tech at Who's Number One.
And if you watch the match, the exact opposite actually happened.
Yes.
Where Bo Basset pretty much got tech pinned.
Yeah, had he not gotten pinned, he would have been teched. So
Yeah. So I first want to give a shout out to Mike Herring. Mike Herring, who watches the channel. He predicted it. He came back to comment about how he predicted it. And I told him I'd give him a shout out. So if you're watching this, you were right. I specifically was wrong.
well, yeah, kudos. Didn't he say that we were all what was it like? You guys are really undershadowing Zapata.
Yeah, I mean there was a few California fans, I'm guessing, that commented about how Jack and I didn't know too much and how we were, looking down on California and Zapata in general. So here to say that you guys were right. He is the real deal, Holyfield.
So wait, let's talk about the match though, because it's not like this wasn't close. If
Oh yeah, no, it wasn't like it was 15-0 when he pinned him.
Yeah.
If Bo Basset had 2 more seconds at the end of the first period, the first period is tied. It's 7-7.
Yeah.
But it was 7-4 at the end of the first period.
Yeah.
I think Bassett's big mistake was that he was just relying too much on the scramble, and he was clearly outsized. Either Zapata's freakishly strong, or he's just purely outsized.
Yeah.
So I want to add 2 things to that. So another thing too Bo did is he kept snapping Zapata right into his legs.
Yeah, I saw that.
And it's like, cool, dude, like you're giving me exactly what I want. The other thing is, and I have a problem with this in general, this isn't this specific match, 24-hour weigh-ins. I am not a fan.
Oh yeah, I was surprised when I saw that they were all, oh yeah, we just finished weighing in for tomorrow night, and it was like,
yep.
What?
So you have a guy like Zapata who I'm assuming is cutting pretty good for 138, and he says, hey man, I can even cut more because it's a 1-day weigh-in. And then from what I heard about Bo, he weighed in with his shoes and his clothes on. It was still under. It was like 132.
I think he probably just wanted to go up and wrestle him for the challenge.
I think he wanted to scrap. So what's funny too is, and I was talking with this about you guys, is Bo's already registered for the Surge at 132, and someone even said he might go 26 for Super 32.
That's pretty.
But that being said, let's get back into the match itself.
There was some crazy scrambling going on there right out the gate too.
Yeah, they got after it immediately. That's a classic, like, kind of. And I haven't seen a ton of Daniel Zapata's matches, so don't fault me. But I have watched a lot of Pennsylvania wrestling. It's super close to where we are. It's our coast. And Bo loves it. Like, everyone talks about his pace and him pushing it, and he loves to be physical and hand fighting, and that's awesome. And I totally love that style of wrestling. But when you go up 4 weight classes in 1 year, you probably aren't going to be the big, strong top dog anymore. You have to tailor your style more for someone like that.
Yeah, because he was tit for tat. It was just like, oh whoa, nice straight. Oh whoa. It was back and forth just until they scored. But
I was impressed, even though Bo had a size disadvantage. The dude was not breathing. Like, you couldn't even. He wasn't breathing hard. Sorry, he wasn't breathing hard. It was as if like he wasn't even phased. And Zapata looked like he was actually the one that was breathing hard, fighting for every point. Granted, he was scoring more.
Yeah, he was scoring a lot more.
Zapata looked like he was real. Like Bo gave everything he had to the match.
Yeah, I'm actually super curious to find out about what happens with Zapata this season. If because as far as I remember, he's not committed to a college yet, which is really interesting considering he just started his senior year.
Oh, okay.
This guy's building quite the rap sheet. He'll probably end up being a two-time state champion in California, as you guys have referenced several times. He's a Fargo finalist. He won Who's Number One.
How did he get his ticket to Who's Number One?
I'm also pretty curious about this. And again, don't hate me on this, is that from what I've seen and what I've, my quick research, he doesn't really have a crazy resume. Typically, and some of you guys might know this out there, if you win Fargo, you get like a golden ticket to Who's Number One. And he didn't. He got teched in the finals in like 90 seconds, which is impressive to make the finals. And the guy he lost to is currently in college. He was a graduating senior. So, and again, like he hasn't won like Super 32, NHSCA, World Team Trials, anything like that. Being a state champion is awesome. It's huge. But the only accolades that I've found from him is he's a one-time state champ and he's a Fargo finalist. And while that's great, it's not the kind of like resume that a lot of guys at Who's Number One typically have.
Classic Cactus Wrestling, disrespecting California yet again.
That's it. I'm a California hater. You know me. Golden Coast.
Well, regardless, I think Danny Zapata, if he's not on anyone's radar, he clearly should be now.
Yeah, he just shot onto everyone's.
Also, great hair. We didn't talk about the hair.
Yeah, dude, the hair was sweet. I mean, the match was awesome. That hair was baller. That was freaking awesome, dude. I was like, man, if he doesn't win the match, I said he's gonna win like the style points.
Yeah, right.
But I can't wait to see where he wrestles next. I hope he does Super 32. I want to see him keep building on this. Those California guys continue to take those big steps.
So next one that I have on my list, I'm out of order, so forgive me, but is Anthony Knox versus Leo DeLuca. And honestly, I think DeLuca kind of blew this one.
Yeah, completely. He was in control of the match for like 95% of it. Like it was in control. Knox was throwing everything he could, the kitchen sink, couldn't get anywhere, couldn't break any ground until that last like duck under to the takedown. Like
and I have the clip. I mean, literally 20 seconds left. He's trying to hold on to the front headlock, and Knox is continuing to wrestle, improving his position, pops his head under, and he gets the takedown. And that's the difference between.
I feel like DeLuca must have thought that holding on to that was going to be able to stop him. I mean, it did stop him earlier, but like, you can't be that reliant on it.
I gotta say though, Knox did a great job making the adjustment. Is that he ducked for it once, didn't get it, ducked for it again, got super deep, got that body lock.
Yeah.
One thing too is that it's always tough between good friends that are also practice partners, because you know what the guy's going to do so well. Is that you get like a second feel for it. I'm sure anyone out there that's watching that's wrestled the same guy in practice 9, 10, 11 times, you start to be like, oh, this is how he likes to be in this position, and I get a feel for this, and you kind of have to develop a style again. I think that's why like it was so low scoring, is that Leo DeLuca is a great wrestler, obviously, and so is Anthony Knox. I just expected Knox with his kind of resume to be a little bit more ahead, not this come from behind win. I thought he was going to win, but more like controlling the pace of the match the whole time.
I mean, all three of us had picked Knox to win, so I in one respect, I'm kind of like, hey, he proved us right. But I mean, after watching that match, it's kind of like I think DeLuca really he has like a moral victory after that match. Like he had it
for sure. I mean, I'd love to see them go at it again.
Commenters were also saying something about neither of these guys are committed. Could you imagine having them as your 25 and 33?
I did hear that, yeah. And they were friends, and I Knox was trying to like give him a pat on the back at the end, and DeLuca was just devastated.
I think it's a loss. It's a loss. He didn't care who it was from.
Yeah. But would you rather lose at Who's Number One, or would you rather lose in the state finals?
I guess
I'd rather not
I guess
lose. You
whatever
know?
you value. I guess
I
if
mean,
you haven't won a state final, then
if in my opinion is like it's a wrestling showcase and it's great to be there, but this is the first ranking of the season. All that matters is the last ranking of the season.
That's true.
it's true. It's true. So next one I have on my list is Ben Deino versus Kyler Larkin, and something I noticed right away is Deino wasted no time, went straight like 5 seconds, just right in on the leg, took him down, and it was pretty much Deino's match from beginning to
He was in
end.
control the whole time.
Do have to give a shout out that we recently discovered Kyler Larkin has a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So
grow that channel, Kyler Larkin.
yeah, go check out some of Kyler Larkin's videos. I'll see if I can put it in the description down below. Here at Cactus Wrestling, we like to help promote other fellow wrestling channels. We're not competing against anyone. We're here to grow and
we're all part of the same community.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So tough loss by Kyler Larkin. I definitely see him more as a freestyle wrestler.
Yeah. He even had like a crotch lock position at first, and I was like, oh, he's looking for a throw here.
Yeah, that's what I saw too. And I was like, if this was freestyle, I feel like this would be a completely different match, but it's not. Wasn't. And I didn't realize too that he's Eric Larkin's son. Hodge Trophy winner.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
From
Very cool.
ASU, yeah.
Oh, that's
Nice.
cool. Fun
Okay.
fact.
Yeah, I always love to see. Honestly, it makes me feel old that I'm like, oh yeah, I remember watching his dad. It's like, oh shit. But with Kyler Larkin, just like you said, like Ben Deino getting that first immediate takedown was huge because I don't think he got another takedown the rest of the match.
No, it ended up 4-2.
It's only 4-2.
Yeah, so it was the takedown and escape, and then 2 escapes. So like, if he didn't get that takedown when he did, who knows how the match would have ended up. But hey, Deino, 2-time who's number 1 champ. I mean, that's a dog.
Definitely. All right, so this is we've come to the point where possibly one of the greatest matches ever. Jax Forrest versus Jordan Rainey. What can we say about this match? Like, if you haven't watched it, go watch it. Like, we cannot hype this up enough. I think the expectation going in was that Jax Forrest was probably the heavy favorite.
Despite having lost last time, yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, one word that I would describe Jordan Rainey is absolutely fearless. Dude uses his Greco background, just literally tosses himself to his back and ends up on top somehow.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a point where he got both double unders, had a body lock, and everyone, like the crowd went wild because like, oh, we know what's coming next. And Forrest is like, I'm bailing. He goes, I'm just giving up the taste. And he goes, I don't even want to attempt to like fight this off. So he just like bailed right out. But yeah, the match was crazy because I think there was a point where Jax was up like 12-6 or something. And I was like, oh, it's just going to be, the Jax Forrest show. He's going to do the same thing he did last time.
Yeah, he had a pretty good lead there.
Yeah,
sure.
sizable.
12-6,
yeah. And then when he came into the second, I was like, Jax looks kind of tired. And Jordan Rainey was like, yo, there's blood in the water. I'm going after him. And he did. And he worked it back in slowly. But he came from a huge deficit. And I think the 3-point takedown was helpful there to close the gap. But, both guys were getting takedowns. So it wasn't like these were.
Well, actually, fun thing you say that. They both got 3 takedowns. So it wouldn't have made a difference. Yeah. So they each got 3 takedowns. So 3-point takedown, 2-point takedown, but it still would have gone to overtime.
Yeah. I was also impressed to see that. So Jax loves a slide by. It's like one of his big things from offense is that Jordan Rainey hit it on him so successly. He hit Jax like his own move, and I was like, dang, man.
Well, and then the overtime, but yeah.
Yeah, well, that's again, prime Jax Forrest positioning. He loves that. He loves to be there. The only drawback I could think though. And I said this to you guys, I think Jax and maybe Jordan too almost let it fly too much. Where they got kind of sloppy with it. And both are incredible wrestlers, super technical. And I love that they just, leave it all out there. But almost like sometimes you're like, okay, they're almost doing too much. So like Jax had a cradle locked up at one point and then just tried to come back with it and lost it immediately.
When Rainey was in that hole and just was really like going crazy and racking up those points to tie it up and ultimately make it 15-15, and it went to overtime, I was just like, this is going to be fireworks here. And then it was almost underwhelming with the slide by finish.
Yeah, it just goes to show how slick Jack Forrest is. I still
Yeah.
think that he is the better technical wrestler, but it just goes to show when you go at someone like that, you can break them because Jackson definitely looked like he was gassing more than Rainey was, and you
Which
could
is
score points. And like Mike was saying, I think Jax was just giving up takedowns.
Yeah. Well, which is crazy to think when the last time they wrestled, it was 14-5 when Jax got pinned. But that means Rainey made up a deficit, like he improved that much where it was now overtime, and like he didn't need the pin to win. I mean, he obviously would have taken it, but like he improved basically a major decision on this guy in the amount of time since they last competed.
That's what that cactus spotlight really elevated him.
Yeah,
He saw
exactly.
it, and
Too bad if we had all picked Rainey to win, he would have pulled it off in
hey, I
overtime.
picked Rainey.
I know you. It was me and Mike chose Jax, but had all three of us picked Rainey, then the spotlight would have boosted him to the who's number one victory.
Well, I'm glad you guys did because it helped the cactus ratio. What did we got 7 out of 10 right overall,
We were
right?
7 for 10. Yeah.
All right, so we kind of know what we're talking about.
Well, and also with the
bad analyzing.
there was the one other overtime match that went the other way. So
Paul Kenny.
yeah.
Well, we'll get there in a second, but first, Angelo Ferrari versus Ty Ice, and honestly, like, all right, Angelo's the number one recruit for class of 2024. He looked okay. There was nothing he did that was like wrong.
That match wasn't exactly a highlight of the night.
But there was two controversial takedowns. The one by the edge that Ferrari got, and then the kind of the slide by, kind of like Merkel position that Ice had him in at the end of the match.
So they waved that one off at the end. The final score was 5-1 because I was like, it's kind of there, kind of not. I mean, I love the Merkel, but like, it's not really.
It didn't really matter.
If they did award it, it wouldn't have mattered. It would have been 5-4 loss.
I think Angelo's kind of like a miniature clone of his brother, like really strong, really athletic, really hard to score on. But he himself doesn't seem like he racks up a lot of points.
Yeah.
And that was kind of AJ as well.
Yeah.
My issue was, and you kind of talked about like the controversial takedown that Angelo had, where he did have both ankles, but like Ice wasn't on his hip or anything. So a lot of even the commentators, like, I wonder, they're like, I'm sure they're going to challenge this. And then when they didn't, I was like, oh, well, that could be the whole match. And it was.
And it was the whole
match. I think that you're right. I expected more from Angelo, especially after what he did last season where he majored Joe Cely.
Yeah.
At who's number one. Like, I was like, oh, man, like, Angelo's coming in there and he's going to just make this huge jump and he's just going to keep beating guys down. And it was really close, which is not what I was expecting. Also, shout out Alex Marinelli was in the corner. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I did see that. And they said a lot of the Iowa coaching staff was there.
Yeah, the Brands brothers were there. I mean, I guess you got to see how your investment is looking.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
And maybe they're looking to recruit some.
Well, especially with what's maybe going on over there. But
yeah, if you haven't seen that video, check out our video that talks about Iowa's gambling situation.
Yeah.
So moving on to Connecticut native Will Henkle versus Joe Cely, and man, Henkle had time and time again opportunities. He just could not finish those takedowns.
Yeah, Cely was solid defense. I mean, and it was quite impressive that he managed to fend off both of those. Yeah. And it was almost a little disappointing to see that Henkle couldn't find a way to convert to the points.
Yeah, I think that I was kind of surprised with Will, where I picked Cely, but then I was like, oh, Will's getting in, he's getting in, and he's getting up with one, pulling the single way up. I mean, he had it by his leg by his chin. Yeah. And the fact that he couldn't score on Joe Cely was wild. And it didn't happen once, but it happened twice. And it just shows how tough it is to score on these top guys. Will got roasted a little bit at our practice tonight by, one of my younger guys. They go to the same club in the off season. And so they wrestle together and they train together. And he was like, I guess, roasting Will. But, when hopefully he'll get there one day to who's number one, and Will could roast him back.
And we'll get to the Paul Kenny match, but it also kind of looked like he was like almost like thinking it was freestyle in the sense like he was kind of walking out of towards the out of bounds with the leg up in his air. So maybe he was like thinking, oh, like push out, but oh shoot, this is folk style. So I think that's what happened with Paul Kenny in his match.
I think Will Henkle and Joe Cely is going to be the matchup we see again at Prep National Finals. Now that Will's up at, he was down a weight class last year, so they didn't wrestle each other. But I think that we'll see it this year at the Prep National Finals, and we'll get a really good round 3, I guess. Round 2 in folk style, but round 3 overall.
So we were just talking about Paul Kenny versus Christian Castillo. This is a fun match, even though it was really low scoring. I think it was 1-1 going into overtime.
Yeah.
But a lot of action. Kenny got in on a lot of shots. He's got a nice lefty shot. Lots of scramble positions. Castillo kind of relied on like the snap down, go behind approach, but Kenny was scrambling. He didn't give up. I mean, no takedowns.
Yeah, it really could have gone either way.
Yeah, in regulation. So, but there was a point where Kenny had the leg up in the air and he was walking him towards the out of bounds. So,
yeah. I agree with Jack. I think that Kenny is still like in freestyle mode, and he had the leg up, and he was not even like trying. It happened twice. The first one was really egregious, where you're like, oh, he has no idea what's going on right now, almost like a brain fart, where he worked him out of bounds, and I almost feel like he was like looking like for the one, and then they're like, yeah, that didn't happen.
Yeah, I'm literally looking at it. He was started in the middle of the mat and then just literally walked straight out of bounds.
It wasn't like there was no attempt to like kick it, punch it, spin, anything. He was just like walking him. I think just he had that quick brain fart that he was like, oh man, it's not freestyle. And it sucks to get in on a good guy like that and then give up, lose your opportunity.
I mean, this kid's what, 14 years old, probably?
Yeah. Freshman high school.
Isn't he only a 106?
Yeah, so he was wrestling up. And again, the one-day weigh-in, I'm sure Castillo is probably pretty big.
Yeah, Castillo's probably more like 120, and Kenny's probably like 106 to 110.
Yeah. One thing too I loved is NCAA got rid of the no reaction takedown. So like Max Dean, this happened with, he hit a Granby, guy, I don't remember what it was, like ducked him or something. They're both on their feet. Max hits a Granby. His hand touches the ground, immediately breaks free, and they went 2-point takedown, 1-point escape. And a lot of people did not like the no reaction time takedown. I didn't like it. And I'm glad they got rid of it because the exact same situation happened in the Kenny versus Castillo match. And Kenny hits his Granby, and they're like, yep, no takedown. And I was like, perfect. That's great to see.
So a couple matches left. Mir Solo versus Aiden Sinclair. I mean, this one was pretty close. It really kind of came down to Sinclair breaking him down towards the end. I think both Mike and I picked Mir Solo to win this one, but it's tough when you're wrestling your teammate. Yeah. Tough when you're wrestling your teammate, kind of similar to Anthony Knox and Leo DeLuca. I think the commentators are saying they train at different AWA locations, but they still like practice a few times a week or something like that.
I mean, it makes sense to train with such high level opponents.
Yeah, I mean that, like I said, like that room must be crazy when they practice together. To have both the Mir Solo brothers and Aiden Sinclair, 3 guys that are around the same weight, that must be one heck of a shark bait group. But I loved what Mir Solo. I mean, not Mir Solo. I liked what Sinclair did, where he had a great reattack. I always push this with my own guys, is stop their shot, work immediately into your own shot. And he did a great job, just doing the basics correctly. And I think that's where he got that takedown.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was the match too, getting that takedown. Yeah. That was everything.
Coming up to the big boys, Cody Merill versus Sawyer Bartle. This one wasn't close. Cody Merill is an absolute tank, and this guy got in on a shot and he finished. It was like Bartle couldn't do anything.
Yeah, exactly. It was the Merill show, and he just dominated from start to finish. I would say it was the most dominant performance, but unfortunately, he was outdone by
Zapata.
Zapata.
Pearson Manville.
Yeah, Pearson, man.
I
Uh,
was
no, Zapata definitely had the most impressive finish of the, or most, I guess, dominant. Um, but yeah, Merill definitely did a hell of a job.
I like I said, I wasn't super thrilled about this matchup to begin with. I was really expecting the other Mir Solo brother to wrestle against Cody Merrill and have that rematch that they could have gotten at Fargo, this time in folk style. But you know, like I said, like Sawyer Bartlett, great wrestler, just wasn't able to keep it close. And it is what it is. I think Cody Merrill continues to make these jumps. He talked about, his biggest thing for his strategy and how he's improved so much is two things. He said training with DC, Daniel Cormier, his club coach, and lifting. So if you're a wrestler out there, it's a simple formula. Wrestle, lift.
And last matchup, we'll keep this one very brief because not much happened. Pearson Manville wins 2-0 against Wrath. And
What was it? An escape in riding time?
Yeah.
escaping riding time. And I mean, like Mike was saying off camera, it just goes to show the importance of riding an opponent, especially at the college level. He did a good ride, and it won him the match. But no offense there, really, for either
Yeah,
guy.
those are never the most exciting matches to watch.
So I mean, I wanted to talk to you guys because this is the first look at the 3-point takedown. I know we were all in strong agreement that this was a good thing for wrestling moving forward. After watching this, what are your guys' opinions of the 3-point takedown? Because I think, honestly, I don't think it really impacted any of these matches as much as
No.
I thought it was going to. And I almost now want to say, I feel like maybe the first takedown should be worth 3 points to incentivize earlier action because we all see like Anthony Knox, he was coming in strong in the third period when he was losing. But why don't guys do that right from the get-go? I want to see that action from the very beginning. So maybe incentivize the first takedown only, and then everything else is two.
I
I don't
mean, I
know.
kind of like that. That is an interesting thought. Because yeah, I didn't really notice the 3-point takedown making much of a difference at all. I think the biggest, I forget which match it was, but someone got a takedown followed by a reversal. So then it was 3-2 instead of it being 2-2. So it was like, oh, that's different than usual. But other than that, like I really didn't see it making that big of an impact.
Especially
Yeah.
if you're swapping takedowns, it's like it just
Yeah.
nets itself out.
I also thought it was going to be a little bit of a bigger thing where I was really looking forward to it. Even again tonight, my high school guys were talking about it. Like, hey, coach, when do you think that the 3-point takedown is going to come to like high school level? And I go, it's never going to happen. It's gonna be a long time. They said, well, do you think it'll happen for Super 32 or
Yeah, because
like
college could always kick the 3-point takedown if they don't
yeah,
like it.
yeah.
So
I'd like to see riding time first in high school, but um, yeah, I thought the 3-point takedown was gonna be a little bit of a difference maker. It was also funny seeing the crowd be like 2, 3, or the ref
They were
holding up
screaming
2
too. They were
fingers.
screaming
Yeah,
too. Yeah.
the ref too was going like 2 fingers for the takedown. Um, I don't know. I think it's gonna be interesting to see what happens with the NCAA season. I also think that it's a lot to do about nothing now because a lot of people are like super mad about how the 3-point takedown is going to completely change wrestling. But as we saw, it almost didn't matter. It could have been worth
wrestling
7.
was still wrestling.
It could have been worth 7 for some of these matches where it's just like, hey, a 7-point takedown if they're swapping takedowns.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Also, I think I did see at one point there was a 3-point near fall because they added that this year. And I really like some people are like, oh yeah, now like I think the intent of the rule is like, oh yeah, now wrestlers can be like, I want to go for a 2-point, a 3-point, or a 4-point. But it's just how long you're holding the guy on his back. Like
Yes,
it's not
you're
like
always
strategy.
going for a 4-point, and it's if you matter if you get it or not.
Right. So I mean the addition of the 3, it's like, oh, he got 3. It would have been 2 because he held him for one more second. So I didn't think really that made too much of a difference either.
They were not as impactful as in theory, I guess.
I do think that, I mean, granted, this is a small sample size, just 10 matches. I think as we come up to the NCAA wrestling season, there's going to be a lot of matches that it's going to be the deciding factor.
That's true. Yeah. But
So,
we won't know until we see it. So
True.
we'll see it. So what do you guys think about the 3-point takedown? What do you think about who's number one? Shout out California and Mike. What's
Herring.
Aaron.
Mike Herring. Yeah. He you heard it there first from Mike Herring that we were sleeping on Zapata. You were right. We were wrong.
Definitely sleeping at the wheel.
We won't sleep again. Drop a comment down below about the 3-point takedown, about who's number one. Make sure you hit this like button and subscribe if you like these videos. And if you're looking for, we're always looking for suggestions for videos. So feel free to comment. I know someone commented a suggestion in one of our recent videos, so feel free to post that. We always read the comments and love the engagement. So
I try to respond as much as I can.
And we view them. Yeah, we see them all.
We see everything.
All, yeah. It's my hobby when I'm at work. It's my hobby is getting to read the comments.
How can I comment again?
All right. Well, thanks for watching, and make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Until next time.
Thanks for watching. We are Cactus Wrestling, and we'll see you next time on our next video.